I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and you're watching the Cartoon Palooza. You see this movie right here? Beauty and the Beast. One of Disney's finest. One of the greatest animated movies of all time. Objectively, Best Picture nominee, am I right? There ain't nothing wrong with this movie, and if you think so, there's something wrong with you. I'm just busting your chops. I think few improvements can be made, and really had to think about them for a bit. Beauty and the Beast is a film that's not perfect and can be improved. Therefore, when it was announced that they'd be remaking the movie in live action, I got over my initial reaction. I accepted that there were areas that needed improving, like specifying the curse. Truth be told, we were never specified how long he's been turned into a beast, what it means for him to fall in love, and the idea that he would have to be 11 years old is discussed in an editorial that wasn't confirmed. This would be the first time Disney's remade one of their films barely 20 years before the original came out. The closest we got was the 101 Dalmatians by 33 years. And consider the fact that this movie was technically already adapted into live action with the Broadway show, so you know what? Get a guy who's directed Broadway adaptations onto film and we could have a good movie. The real stars of this movie are in fact the stars. You can't deny they got the right cast for each of these roles. With an exception, but I'll get into that later. Each of these actors get it right. Luke Evans plays Gaston as an Ubermensch, LeFou is the clingy lackey, the Beast is a CG monster with a heart of gold, and Belle, by Emma Watson, is the independent and likable female lead. I don't think each of these actors phoned it in. You get behind the performances. Even though I love the Beast in the original, Dan Stevens plays the character at a different angle. Remember how the biggest debate between being intentional or not is how the Beast would have to have been transformed at 11? In the movie, they set the record straight, saying that he's an adult at the time of the transformation. That means the rose's petals fall at a rate faster than the bouquet I picked up at Walmart in Camden. I'm almost certain that bouquet was stolen though. Anyways, the Beast is played less like an immature brat who needs to grow up in a painfully obvious allegory to puberty since Spider-Man. He's an educated grown man who just so happens to have a short fuse, explained by the upbringing of his abusive, neglectful, barely on screen and alluded to a few times but never enough to paint a full picture father. Even though it's not the same performance, you appreciate they try to do something different that fits the story they're trying to tell. This is why Maurice in the movie manages to be one of the best performances in the film. He gives a backstory and goes from an inventor to an artist, clockmaker, engineer? It's not specified. Give this movie credit, they managed to give the character more humanity in the movie than in the original. You don't feel like he's the guy Belle wants to save because, well, they're related, which at times is how you feel about him in the cartoon. In the movie, I do think you buy into the father-daughter relation a little bit more. Now, speaking of connections, I bet you didn't think about this, but Kevin Kline showed up in another Disney animated movie. He was Phoebus in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and wouldn't you know it, that movie was directed by the same directors to the original animated film he's taken part in, and the connections don't end there. So LeFou, he's played by Olaf from Frozen, right? How about some little unintentional foreshadowing from the original film which sees LeFou turned into a snowman? But my favorite connection comes to the middle of the remake. In one scene, when Belle and the Beast go to Paris, they're looking across at Notre Dame, which totally justifies the cameo from Hunchback, where we see Belle reading a book from the street view. All you need is Kevin Bacon to show up, and you've completed all 8 degrees. I wonder if people still play that game. So, let's actually go back to the cast though. Remember when I said there was one exception to the really great cast? That's because we got another character you'd think would be a welcome addition, the person who cursed the Beast. On paper, it sounds like a good idea. The only person we didn't get to see was the person responsible for cursing the Beast. However, we learned that not only does she happen to be one of the beggars in the village Belle lives in, has dozens of opportunities to help our leads but chooses not to, but I'm gonna go out of my way and say that she didn't really specify the curse. Yeah, really think about it. At the end of the film, when the Beast is laying dead and the servants fully transform into knickknacks, you may as well say they failed since the last petal fell. However, she appears by coincidence since the whole town invaded the castle. She needed to see Belle say I love you before turning everybody back to normal. The problem with this is that not only does it mess up the plot point in the original where each Belle and the Beast need to share equal affection for each other because the curse is broken, you can make a good argument that they both shared just as much time before the last petal fell, making the last scene seem like a lazy cop-out. There's nothing endearing about the Enchantress having to visually validate the lover's transformation, it's magic. I'm almost certain if she stuck around in that castle when the beast was transformed back into human, I'm almost certain that the beast would have knocked the witch out, if you know what I mean. Speaking of which, can we talk about the CG? Because I really want to talk about the CG. It sucks. Let's start with the servants. They look god-awful. All of them. I saw this in the trailer thinking maybe the filmmakers will have to finalize these looks for the characters. Nah, they look just as bad as I felt they looked in the trailer and more. We get two characters inspired by characters from the original and the direct-to-video sequel, The Enchanted Christmas. The dresser and the organ played by Tim Curry, who's now a harpsichord played by Stanley Tucci. I can imagine people complaining how both these characters are not related to each other, but guess what? You can make the same argument for the dresser. Well, she's nothing like the original counterpart. Why not make the same argument as the piano guy? But that's not the point. They're a nightmare to look at. I can't even say look at their faces because you can't see their faces. They use curtains for the mouths and holes for the eyes. I mean, who in post-production thought this was going to translate well into motion capture? The animated film had an edge when you accept that these characters were not realistic, but the way they were animated in relation to their performances made them more believable. The only way I could believe these characters is if you changed the music and called it a horror film, which oddly enough with the lighting in the BR Gets portion, made it feel like it could have been a horror movie. The same goes for the Beast, which is odd since I earlier celebrated the performance. A performance that would have gone better if they changed the design or went for a practical suit like most of the other adaptations. I couldn't look at this guy's face without it looking phony. Like, here's the thing about the original, it's obviously a cartoon. However, it's animated so well to the performance is complemented to the animation. The same can't be said here, you may as well call him Krampus. Every time you see this guy leaping from tower to tower, all I gotta say about him is, it's the Krampus. Speaking of changes, did you know Belle's mom died? Also, did you know that the curse not only transforms the servants into furniture, but each petal brings them closer to death? Yeah, how about the enchantress giving the beast a book that can teleport him anywhere in the world? So not only does he have the opportunity to go anywhere in the world to find someone who can break the curse, or use it to save Belle's father when Gaston has him committed, it's only used once to remind us that Belle's mom died. Remember, because in case they forgot to tell you earlier, Belle's mom died. Ah, for crying out loud, most of these story changes are padding. Some of them help define the characters a bit, but most of them lead to the point around a big detour that didn't need to be taken. My dad's got an expression. The shortest point between A and B is straight through. You don't go through C, D, F, and Z. Don't believe me? How about a scene where Maurice leads Gaston to the castle so he could save Belle? Maurice gets mad because it's only because Gaston wants to marry Belle, he gets punched, left for dead, brought back to health by the Enchantress, and then sucker punched by Gaston, who convinces the town that he's crazy. What was the point of this? You want Maurice out of the picture to marry Belle, the best thing you could have done was just convince the town that he's crazy as soon as he came to that bar raving about a beast. Oh, wait a minute. That sounds familiar! I get the impression today that most movies want to break the 2.5 hour mark when in actuality good movies can last an hour and a half, or even 2. Proof? Watch the original. In fact, you may as well just watch the original. With that said, Beauty and the Beast might be one of the greatest Disney adaptations of all time. With that also out of the way, this may be one of the worst Disney adaptations of all time. How the movie manages to go between both roles is fascinating. Some of the things like the cast makes me appreciate that this movie isn't just cashing on a popular IP. Even adding a few songs like Evermore, that makes me want to listen to it on my own. However, other things like the CG and added story, it keeps me from saying this movie's great. At the end of the day, Beauty and the Beast is not the worst movie ever. However, it don't exceed the source material and it doesn't really improve it. In fact, when they try to improve it, it brings it a step back. You'll watch the movie and you'll know that everything you liked is in it because the original did it better. But if you're a fan like me, I can't believe I'm saying this, but if you look at this movie as an extension to the original, it's not nearly bad as the experience. An extension, say, like Beauty and the Beast Enchanted Christmas. Yep, I went there. The movie managed to be just as enjoyable as the direct-to-video sequel to the original. No, I ain't talking about Belle's Magical Christmas. That's, The Enchanted Christmas managed to be one of the better Disney sequels that doesn't suck. Does the best with what they have, and has plenty of head-scratching moments on the talking piano. I mean, that's this movie in a nutshell. And it's practically the same movie-going experience. So there you have it. This tale is old as time, or about 18 years. It's good, it's bad, but most importantly, it's okay. Thanks for joining me on this themed month of Disney live-action adaptations. I wonder, what theme could I do next? I know it's a new thing that I've been starting, but I'm actually enjoying doing this. Every month I'm doing a certain theme of movies. Let me know in the comments section what you think, if there's a certain theme of animated movies that you want me to delve into. I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and thanks for watching this review on the Cartoon Palooza.